Hey guys, Chris from Provo Beast Audio Installation, and in today's video we're going to do a backup camera on this 2016 Hyundai Elantra GT. Now in this video we're going to show you how to run all the wiring and integrate this camera to an aftermarket radio. Let's get started. Alright, so we're here in the back of the car. Now what makes this the GT over the regular version? It's the 5-door hatch versus the 4-door sedan. The 5-door hatch has a license plate down in the bumper, where traditionally the 4-door sedan has the license plate up in the rear trunk lid. You'll need to find wiring to pass through the bumper or the trunk lid into the interior of the vehicle so we can run it to the aftermarket radio. Being that we have the 5-door, we need to go ahead and pass that wire through the bumper into the cabin, and then we'll run it to the aftermarket radio. Before we jump into things, let's head over to the bench to show you the camera that we're using for this install. Now here at the bench, the parts that we're using for this is the Nautica license plate mountable camera. It's the WD779. Now this is going to be integrated, like I said before, to an existing aftermarket radio. We didn't put the radio in the dash. The customer had somebody else do it for them on their behalf. It comes with your main wiring loom. Now this wiring loom will also power the camera and carry the signal from the camera to the aftermarket radio. There's enough wiring here to run the length of the vehicle, regardless of the vehicle. Also in here is the actual camera itself. Now it comes with two different mounts. Currently mounted on the camera itself is just a flush mount one, where you can mount it to any flat surface. But also in this box, it comes with a license plate mount, which we're going to use in our application here. So we'll transfer over the camera to the license plate mount bracket. We went ahead and transferred our camera over to our license plate. Logo indicates that the camera is right side up, so that's all done. This harness can be actually hooked up in two different ways. This can go to the power and ground of the reverse light, and then this end would go to the trigger back behind the radio. The only issue with that wiring configuration is the camera is only going to be on when the reverse light is on. So in general, it's only going to be on when in reverse. Some radios nowadays have the function to see the camera all the time. If you want to call upon the camera when not in reverse, that configuration wouldn't work. In order to make that happen, we got to power the camera off accessory so it's on when the vehicle is running. You would connect this into an accessory, and then the other red end you wouldn't connect to anything, and then you just would have to run your own trigger wire, or just find a place where you can snag a 12-volt source that's only on when in reverse. So a couple of different ways to wire this up, totally up to you in your application. We're going to try to power the camera when also not in reverse, so they can call upon the camera anytime. So what we're going to end up doing is running an extra wire with this all the way from the back all the way up front for a trigger wire, so we can use this as an accessory. Okay, let's head over to the car and get started. Okay, so with this now pulled apart, we also pulled this one and unscrewed this anchor point here so we could pull this on back. Looking deep inside, there's the grommet that we need to run our wire through. Now we have a long metal hanger. We push that grommet so we can fish a hanger through. We have this here, and let's jump up underneath. And our hanger comes out right there. We got up underneath, we saw where it poked down, and we thread it through. We got our camera with a little bit of length there. Fish that down too as well. And we hooked our camera wire to the hanger, and we're going to fish it up through the bumper, through that grommet, and then we'll modify that grommet so the grommet can sit up and around that wire. So let's go ahead and pull it on through. Okay, so we poked a little hole through the side of that rubber grommet and fished our wire through, so now we can reseat that grommet and it'll sail up and around the wire. Now our connection will be inside the trunk instead of up underneath the car, so we can protect it more from the elements. So that takes care of that portion. We usually also like to split loom that wire that's exposed outside, just so it has a little bit more protection, so we're going to do that. Now we need to pull our reverse trigger signal from the reverse light here. Now this wire is important for us because the radio, whoever installed the radio didn't use any sort of smart harness. So generally a smart harness would produce that up front for you. But unfortunately, they didn't use a smart harness, just the basic. So we'll have to pull that signal from the reverse light. And all we're going to tap into is the positive wire of that reverse light. So what we did is you saw us pull apart our grommet here. We just ran an 18 gauge wire up here. It's this purple wire, and we tapped into this blue. It's this second pin next to the black. It's this guy right here. That is where we soldered on to snag that 12 volt signal that'll only be on when the light is on or when backing up. So we soldered onto that. We can plug that back in now, just like that. And then we fed that down along the factory loom through there. You saw us work it way all the way down, and we came out here. Now we grabbed the harness that goes with the camera, and we started taping it every 6 inches with some tested tape all the way down, and that's going to run along with our power wire as we move it forward towards the aftermarket radio. Now in here, we started making connections as well. So this is the other end of that harness. Remember, it has that red and black wire. Well, the black wire is the ground. The red wire we're not going to be using. We just insulated with some heat shrink, just because the other end is going to be an accessory wire. We're going to use the other end of this red wire to power the camera back behind the radio. So we insulated that, and then the black wire, pull this on back in that harness here. That black wire kind of looks red, but it's the black wire, has the black in it. There's a black wire there, which is the ground to your license plate light. And so we use that as the ground for our camera. So same thing, strip the wire back without breaking it, soldered onto that. So our black wire for camera, or ground, goes to that wire. So with all this now put together, we just need to loom up that wire again. And we're going to work this wire loom that we created forward towards the aftermarket radio. Okay, so the trunk is all reassembled, everything back together just like factory here. We'll show you how we're running the wire forward. But all we're doing is tucking wire up underneath panels. And essentially here we pop this one just to show you how small it is and we can run it. Now you can essentially just get your fingers underneath and tuck it. You don't need to pull panels based on the gauge of wiring here. You're welcome to just to zip tie it. That's totally your call. We'll run that forward. Continuing along, here's the front. We have that off as well. And we're going to go up. Now we pulled our fuse cover box panel off. So we ran it out there, but we're going to go along underneath the steering column. And next here, let's go ahead and pull the radio so we can fish our wire into the dash cavity. Just like that. Now it's held on with clips all the way down, even at the very base. I like to start from the very bottom and work your way up. You got to separate this plastic piece. Just like so. Now you may need to get the HVAC controls out of the way in order for you to have the access for the radio bezel to come on free. Okay, so I removed the 6 screws up and around the HVAC controls. Kind of go ahead and pull out your side pieces now. Should just release. Okay. Okay, so with the radio on out, we fished our wire up into the dash. We used our hanger again, just a handy dandy tool. Brought that up here. Now our wire, purple wire, remember it connects the other end into the reverse light positive wire. So we're gonna find our reverse trigger wire in a radio. This one happens to be purple white, and we are going to wire them together. Put a little crimp cap on the top. Perfect. So that takes care of our trigger wire. Now we have 2 connections that we need to make on this wire. First connection is the video feed. This needs to go to the reverse camera input on the back of the radio. Generally it's marked cam or camera, something like that. Now this, remember the other one we chose not to hook up because this needs to go to an accessory. So we're gonna grab our radio red accessory wire and we're gonna tee that into that accessory wire. So not only is the radio gonna turn on when the key is on, it's also gonna turn on our camera. And that'll allow us to utilize the camera in instances when not in reverse. All right, so we hooked up our red wire to the red wire of our harness here. We just soldered into it, connected our video wire in. We're done. So let's just temporarily kind of get this back into place and do a test to make sure everything is properly working. Now always make sure you go into your settings to make sure your camera interruption is on or your camera input is on. Go in reverse. There we are. Looks great. Out of reverse. Perfect. Now because we wired it the way that we did, we should be able to click on the camera. Click on camera, and there we are. We can click on the camera and use it outside of just being in reverse. Perfect. Okay, everything is working great. We can now reassemble the dash. All right, so we're here in the car, got everything all reassembled here. Nice and clean. Let's go ahead and put it in reverse. There we are, looking at the back of the garage door, working in the shop today. Pull it out of reverse. There we are. And just like I said before, because it's on accessory and not only getting power from the reverse light, but it's on all the time. If we go to camera, we're not in reverse right now, but we can still peek on what's behind us. That's why we chose to run an accessory all the way up back behind the radio here. Perfect. That's about it for this install. Now, like I said, we don't have footage of installing this radio because it was done outside of our shop. However, if you're looking to get one added, we'll still link all the parts for an aftermarket radio install in the description of this video. If you also want to see how we did a subwoofer install on this year Elantra, we'll link that video down in the description for you as well. Thanks again for watching. Be sure to hit the like button if you like what you saw, and don't forget to subscribe to post great content on the channel all the time, and we'll see you in the next video.